rates, which have gone from 2% to 9 and 10%.
But focus on those that want people to believe that you want retribution, that you will use the system of justice to go after your political enemies.
So, number one, they're wrong. It has to stop, because otherwise we're not going to have a country. Look, when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them. And it's easy, because it's Joe Biden. And you see all the criminality, all of the money that's going into the family and him, all of this money from China, from Russia, from Ukraine. During one of the interviews, I said, what about the $3.5 million paid to the Biden family from the mayor of Moscow's wife? What about that? And Chris Wallace defended him, said, you can't ask that question. Well, then it turned out to be a big deal long after that debate. That was one of the debates. And it turned out to be a big deal. And Chris Wallace said, we can't go there because we don't know that it should turn out to be true.
When this election is over, I would have every right to go after them. That's Trump broadcasting his intentions if he wins the White House. This is a campaign not for Americans. He's not promising healthcare, jobs, or economic prosperity, or more small businesses, or clean air and water. He is promising retribution. He wants revenge because his priority is himself, and that will be what he focuses on. I want to be crystal clear and to say this right at the top. Trump is running not for you, he is running to help himself and himself alone. Unless there is any doubt, the entirety of his party is on board. There will be no moderating forces in the GOP. This is just a small sampling of Trump's acolytes and mouthpieces broadcasting, in no uncertain terms, what their strategy is.
Is every House committee controlled by Republicans using its subpoena power in every way it needs to right now? Is every Republican DA starting every investigation they need to right now?
President Biden should just be ready, because on January 20th of next year, when he's former President Joe Biden, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I am going to encourage all of my colleagues and everybody that I have any influence over as a member of Congress to aggressively go after the president and his entire family, his entire crime family.
I'm talking about tit for tat. You just wait, and it won't be Hunter Biden the next time. It's going to be Joe Biden. It could potentially still be Barack Obama. It could still potentially be Hillary Clinton.
And I had two calls yesterday, one from a county attorney in Kentucky and one from a county attorney in Tennessee. They were Republican, obviously. Both states are heavily Republican. They want to know if there are ways they can go after the Bidens now.
We are fed up, and we're not going to take this anymore. So in the Senate, we're going to do everything we can to block any appointments of the Biden administration that we can. We're not going to fund any more programs unless it's tied to public safety. We're going to stop, and we're going to make sure there's no money for this lawfare against Republicans, including Trump.
GOP will have to retaliate against Democrats when they regain power. Yeah, he's right. That's the problem. I wish that wasn't the case, but we don't have a choice. They have shown their hands. When people tell you who they are, believe them.
And of course, they'll all justify this authoritarian behavior by couching it in excuses about how Biden has somehow weaponized the government against him first. And so this isn't Trump's fault, it's Biden who started this. First of all, in terms of Trump's conviction, Joe Biden didn't bring this prosecution. A local district attorney in Manhattan did. In fact, not only didn't Biden bring this case, his DOJ passed on it. Biden's Justice Department made the conscious decision not to prosecute Donald Trump. And by the way, they could have, as we've seen now from this conviction. And beyond that, my God, take some responsibility. It was not Joe Biden's fault that Donald Trump had an affair and paid a porn star hush money and falsified business records to hide those payments, which, by the way, he knew was a crime because he had Michael Cohen make those payments for him. Otherwise, why not just make them yourself? Again, he knew what he was doing. Also, notice how no one on the right complained when Michael Cohen went to prison for his involvement in the scheme. But suddenly convicting the guy who directed this scheme is a bridge too far? Give me a break. Donald Trump wants to lead the party of personal responsibility. Maybe try actually taking some. And yet still, there will be guys like Republican Jason Smith desperately trying to shoehorn this narrative into the mainstream.
Congressman, Donald Trump suggests that he could prosecute his political rivals if he's elected president again. Roll tape.
Look, when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them. And it's easy because it's Joe Biden.
Congressman, would you support retribution? Because that's what Donald Trump is talking about, retribution.
Stuart, Donald Trump is not talking about retribution. Donald Trump is talking about every American standing as an equal justice system. What we have seen is if your last name is Biden, you're treated much more favorably than any other American. That is what he's talking about.
Ah, yes, Donald Trump isn't talking about retribution. He's talking about, and I quote, every American standing as an equal justice system. Sure, that makes sense if you squint hard enough. And look, Smith's argument might carry just a little bit more water. If the president's son wasn't on trial literally right now, Hunter Biden is literally being prosecuted as we speak, and yet we're supposed to believe that if your last name is Biden, you get away with everything? Right, because nothing says Bidens have carte blanche to commit crimes with impunity quite like Hunter being in court today. And yet, at the same time that Trump is apparently totally innocent, despite being convicted by 12 jurors, here's the evidence that they've got on the guy who actually is a criminal, Joe Biden.
You're leading the inquiry into the Bidens. Can you just spell it out for us? What are they alleged to have done?
Well, let's just start out. The two IRS whistleblowers that came before the House Ways and Means Committee last year, they released over 1,500 pages of documents showing the influence peddling that was being sold all over the world in multiple countries, from Russia to Ukraine to China. And where we stand today is we've seen an administration that has continued to obstruct our investigation, and even to the sense that you saw James Biden and Hunter Biden lie to Congress. For example, one of the first messages, Stuart, that we ever released was the WhatsApp message that was between Hunter Biden and a Chinese business associate that basically was trying to shake him down for $5 million, saying that he was seated next to his father. We asked Hunter Biden about that message directly under oath, February 28th. And he said it was another Zhao. Well, guess what? The IRS whistleblowers provided additional evidence showing 3 months of continuous messages to that same Zhao, which was the Chinese business associate. Therefore, Hunter Biden, lying under oath, should be criminally prosecuted for that. Let's hope that the Biden administration will treat anyone with the last name Biden the same way they do Trump.
Okay, so you've got two IRS whistleblowers who came before the House Ways and Means Committee. Yeah, you've got this 1023 form, but if you add up 1, 0, 2, and 3, you get 6. 666, sign of the devil. And then out of nowhere comes Hugo Chavez. The demon rats want you to think he's dead, but is he? And then Chinese bamboo fibers really give the whole game away. And then in midair, Joe Biden diverts Air Force One to Burisma headquarters to pick up a suitcase. In the suitcase, 8 million secret ballots. So you see, the puppy was like industry in that they were both lost in the woods, and nobody, especially the little boy, society, knew where to find him. Which begs the question, is Hunter Biden even real? Or is he a front for the deep state? Think about that. And so in conclusion, while there might not be evidence of his crimes, the Biden crime family deserves to rot in prison for all of eternity. You guys got all that, right? So look, these are fundamentally unserious people who are so steeped in partisan hackery that they can't even see how much of a joke they look like right now. They're claiming that an evidence-free investigation that's lasted 15 months and uncovered quite literally nothing is proof of the greatest crimes against this country in its history, and yet 34 unanimous criminal convictions that 12 jurors agreed upon is somehow no big deal. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. In the meantime, I'll repeat my point from the top. The choice this November is perfectly clear. Vote for a guy who's looking to make life better for Americans, or vote for a guy who's looking to make life better for himself. As far as choices go, it doesn't get easier than that. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.